Well, hello everyone, and thank you for coming by my channel. I thought that this week's video may be a bit different, and I've been thinking ever since I acquired the complete fiction of H.P. Lovecraft for Christmas that it would do me good to show you my other editions from Barnes & Noble's Leatherbound classics. I have collected these over the years, but have not done so particularly actively, as they're not entirely my most preferred editions. Those are obviously the Eastern Press, which we will discuss at some point later on. But if you want, I suppose, a cheap classic that's in a nice enough edition, these ones will suit you nicely and will run you no more than about maybe $20 a volume. And $20 for books that are this beautiful is indeed completely justifiable in my estimation. So I figured I may as well show you each one of them and talk a little bit about them as well. I've been collecting these since 2014, and I've been doing it on and off. But my rule, I suppose, is if I cannot find it in an Eastern, I buy it in a Barnes & Noble Leatherbound Classic Edition. And so, here's the first one that I bought back in 2014. This here is Jurassic Park and the Lost World by Michael Crichton. You can see it's bound in white, and this is also one of the reasons why I don't necessarily prefer these to Easterns. This is not real leather. This is itself bonded leather, which is, I suppose, the same material used for furniture and such. It's not pure leather, but nonetheless, they do make very handsome editions. You can see the front cover mimics the front of the first novel, I believe. And there's red accents on a white background. Very nice. Two hubbed spine with 3 compartments. Very nice design on the back with some pterosaurs. And if you open it up, the end papers have Isla Sorna as depicted in the first, or the Lost World novel in 1995. A very nice map there. Typically, these classics mimic the front cover on the title page here, which is very nice. And I'm not entirely sure if the paper is acid-free or neutral, but nonetheless, it seems to be fairly good quality of paper for the most part. And I did read out of this one a long time ago. I did not finish any out of this because I was reading other things at the time. But if I were to go back and reread Jurassic Park and the Lost World, and it's been a decade since I read these things, this is the edition that I would do it in. As you can see, typically these do have gilding on the page edges to protect the text from dust accumulation, and this here is in silver. Sometimes they're in gold, sometimes they're even in black. But This here in particular is in silver, and it has a red ribbon marker. So that's the very first one I have. The next one I acquired at about the same time as the Jurassic Park, and this here is the complete Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Of all of the editions, this may well be my favorite in terms of looks, because there's quite a lot going on the cover there, as you can see, as well as on the spine too, with the Hound of the Baskervilles. And a pocket watch right there, interesting. And the back there, very ornate, these designs here. This is actually, I think, my third copy of this that I've owned through the years. My first one was in very ruinous shape, and that's actually the first time I read Holmes, was out of that particular edition. And then I bought another one, which I had one to read and one just to preserve, because I suppose this would be the best I would get for a while, until Easton comes out with some edition, or I've come across a more, I suppose, higher quality edition. But then I got rid of those for whatever reason, and I decided to re-buy this again. And I've had it basically since, I think, this year. So let's examine the in papers. You can see a very nice tweed design. And this has everything, all of the novels and stories in here. Very nice little accents with the smoking pistol, as well as the pipe there, which occur throughout the text. Each of the books themselves do have a little, I suppose, semi-title page to them, with some very neat designs of London, the London cityscape there at the bottom. In terms of gilding, this one is in gold, and the ribbon marker is, I suppose, an amber color. And this is among one of my favorite editions that I do have, and I suppose we'll show you which ones I have next. Here we have the Iliad and Odyssey of Homer, bound in blue bonded leather, whereas the Sherlock volume was bound in brown. You can see it's a very detailed cover here, with this little sticker here. Now, one thing about the Barnes & Noble Leatherbound classics, which I absolutely detest, is, well, they're affordable and well made enough, but I cannot stand when they do this. They put these stickers on leather covers with just, I suppose, a little bit of glue. And as you can see, this is starting to come up just a bit. And in just only a few years' time, this very lovely image of the Lotus Eaters, I think those are the Lotus Eaters on there, yeah, will in time fall off. And that's one of the things that I absolutely despise about these particular editions, which is why I don't have many of them. But they're still very lovely and attractive nonetheless. There's the spine there. Very lovely. And then there's the back with, I believe that's the Trojan War there being depicted. If we turn into here, we have some very attractive end papers with a map of the Mediterranean Sea and basically charting all of Ulysses or Odysseus's journey, however you like to call him. And it's very detailed indeed. Obviously, the front cover is replicated on the title page. This particular edition is the Samuel Butler translation, and I suspect that I had acquired this in anticipation of reading the Odyssey, or at least major portions of it, for school. Now, we did not necessarily read this translation. I forget the translation that we actually did read, but it was not this one. But I believe that I had attained this through the school's library back in 2015, because I was on a first-name basis with the librarians, and that could be a whole nother video unto itself. But and I should like to mention that typically, unless you, I suppose, get the King James Bible, which is an edition that I have my eyes on, though I probably won't get it anytime soon, you're not going to get any illustrations in these. It's just going to be fairly straightforward with the text and with the very lovely covers, and that's pretty much it. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the gilding on these pages are gold, and the ribbon marker is also amber coloured. So, there's the Iliad and the Odyssey. Okay, so here's a prime example of why it is that I truly detest these editions here. This is the complete Tales and Poems of Edgar Allan Poe. Now, I'm not sure exactly how or when I acquired this. I suspect it was sometime after the Odyssey, maybe a year or so afterwards. And I had this thing for years. And this front cover here, as you'll see, does not typically look like this. You can see Poe is has a very big O right here, and it seems as though that it is slightly raised. That is because one of those little decals or stickers is supposed to be there, and I believe it was the face of a man. I don't quite exactly remember, but the glue on that wore off and it fell off the cover of the book. Now, I'd had this for a number of years, and I don't exactly remember when it started to fall off, but nonetheless, these editions won't necessarily last, but if you do take care of them, hopefully they will last a number of years. But when it comes to editions like this, I would just avoid any with the little stickers on the cover. But anyway, let's just go over this edition. This here is bound in black bonded leather, and this, of all of them, this is probably the one that's in the worst condition of all, because at the time I really hated Poe, and I had stored this all over the place in various bins and boxes all through the years, and didn't necessarily get it out into my collection until very recently. So there's scuffs and things everywhere, as you'll see, but you can see there some very sort of like basic filigree on the cover with a raven. This is not the most attractive edition at all, to be frank with you. This is a triple hubbed spine with 4 compartments. There's just some crap on the back there. I don't really even know what that is all about. The one that they made after this one, I think, is fairly better with the raven on the cover. But this just looks cheap, to be honest with you. The end papers, though, are quite impressive. Very grim looking and blood bespattered and such. And this does, in fact, have the complete tales and poems of Edgar Allan Poe in here. It has basically all 50 of his poems, all 68 of his short stories, his novel, The Narrative of Arthur Gordon Pym of Nantucket, and also his criticism as well as marginalia. So, if you want, I suppose, an affordable edition of everything that Poe has ever written, go down to Barnes & Noble. They probably don't manufacture this one anymore. I'm very thankful for that. Just pick up the new one that they have, and don't waste your time on this particular edition. I suppose I should take the time to show the true extent of the damage here on the gilding, which is gold, and the ribbon marker is also amber. You can see there that quite a bit of the gilding's gone on the bottom there, and that's just through, as I said, storage constraints and not being taken care of very well. All right, now we've happened upon my absolute favorite Barnes & Noble Leatherbound classic. It is the most recent one that I acquired last year for Christmas of 2022 from my brother. I had actually been debating about buying it for a number of years because I didn't know exactly which edition of this author's works would suffice, until I just decided to bite the bullet, as it were, and have my brother buy it for me for Christmas. And that one obviously is the H.P. Lovecraft, The Complete Fiction. And this is just a lovely edition. This is just so beautiful. This is bound in black bonded leather, and it's very colorful. There's blues and purples all throughout here, and then there's this. This is a sticker, but it seems to be better put on here than the others. Nonetheless, I will be careful with it. But as you can see, if you get in the right light, this changes color. And I'm not entirely sure what this is, whether this is one of the old ones or what have you, or whether it's just, I suppose, several vortices amassed together. But nonetheless, it is very attractive. The spine on this one has actually the most ribs. It has 5 compartments and 4 hubs on the spine, which is indeed very uncommon for these editions. But you can see there, very attractive. On the back of the book, it lists some of the tales that are included in this particular edition. And the gilding is in silver. Now, to my knowledge, I believe that previous editions were published with gold gilding, and those had been marked with various errors in the text and misspellings and all of that. I do believe those have since been amended. This is obviously a later printing, but nonetheless, they have been amended. And as you can see, the ribbon marker is a purple, which is my favorite color. Open up the book, and we have some very frightful end pages, reminiscent of The Shadow over Innsmouth or Dagon or one of those stories. Once again, the front cover is replicated to some degree on the title page. And if you want an edition of Lovecraft, where you get basically everything, every piece of fiction that he himself wrote, without any help from anyone, if you just want the main corpus of his work, as well as the juvenilia and the supernatural horror and literature essay, this is your edition. And I am currently reading out of this one right now. And I was just struck by how diverse he was in his early years of publication and also just writing, because not all of these are horror stories. Some are very comic and experimental and just general curiosities, I find. And I will continue to read out of this through the months until I've read everything by him, along with everything by Poe as well. So there you go. Those are all of my Barnes & Noble Leatherbound classics that I do have. I don't plan to get any more, though if you can think of any editions that are noteworthy and perhaps maybe would make fine additions to my collection, do let me know. Perhaps maybe even if you have some of these editions, make your own video in response to this one. And we will see you here very soon. Have a lovely morning, midday, afternoon, evening, midnight, whenever you plan on seeing this. And we will see you here very soon. Cheers.